It's no secret that what makes a school successful or a child successful is the expertise of the teacher. And in many buildings right now, the teacher expertise is the variable in children's success. And what Action 100 does is make sure that teacher expertise is a constant.
We set out on a mission this year to involve our teachers, our parents, and it has been just an outstanding opportunity to build a learning community. One of the most beneficial things that we've done this year is committed to professional development in a way that is atypical for schools. And we contracted to bring in American Reading Company coach to work with our teachers on a weekly basis. What the difference is instead of one-shot professional development, we created a system that has been pervasive, meaning it has affected and touched all our teachers, and it's been persistent.
This year we've become good diagnosticians. We're more of reading specialists in the classroom now. We can easily diagnose the problems, provide interventions quickly.
The EARLA takes state standards and arranges them in a very clear continuum. It makes it very easy for them to place the student and then to define what the next step for the student's growth should be.
Through using the EARLA and really understanding when their students are struggling as readers, understanding what the children need to master in order to move on. And for children at the other end of the spectrum, if they are highly successful, knowing what they need to do to challenge them further. There's no ceiling to the program.
I think that before, you think conferencing is just sitting down with someone and just talking about the book, but you really get specific with the 100 Book Challenge and what we've been taught.
Under Secretary Duncan and President Obama, we want to find teachers and teaching practices that work so that they can become role models that we can export around the country. So we're on the same page with you.
I already read 2 chapter books. One book I read went up to 14 chapters.
I have just seen a transformation. It's resonating throughout the entire district, and it's just amazing. It's incredible.
When we first started 100 Book Challenge, I have to be honest, I was very frustrated. And I said, I cannot do this. I was going home worrying about it. And then one day I just walked in and I said, I'm going to do this. I am so amazed with my little first graders that they can read.
This program has transformed my understanding of what it was like to be a teacher, what was important, how to spend your time.
If you really watch that child who you've conferenced with, you can see them covering up with their finger, you can see them looking and you say they got the skill, they're knowing what to do to break through.
Did the American Reading Company or the coaches sort of help you?
There's been a lot of training.
They don't just come to watch, they come to show us.
The independent reading level assessment, which is the EARLA, is a great tool for teachers to be able to use because through this they're able to look at individual kids. Sometimes when you're reading with a student, you think, well, they have some trouble with decoding or they have some troubles with comprehension. But the idea of keeping all of this information about all the skills that children need to be competent readers, this really helps you look at it.
About the program is that it really encourages that collaboration between the teachers themselves as they work with on the data wall.
Within the city of Camden, it's been amazing watching the process of 100 Book Challenge, not only with the children, but with the teachers. And a big piece of it is the amount of professional development that comes out of the American Reading Company, I think has made this an easier process for teachers to grow in the area of literacy instruction.
Standard 6, informational text. And it's cut up into strips, okay? So your job with you can work with your partner or your truddy, and your job is to put these in order. Unpack this standard by grade level.
Another's point of view. Another's point of view of purpose.
But is the speed. And the whole. Oh yeah. Oh, also then you can reuse them more easily because it's easier to like collect. What I'd like you to do now is to talk with your partner about what you noticed, right? What you noticed by doing it, and then take a minute to step out of the process and think about why it's important for teachers and administrators to do what you just did.
Yeah, but this was a lot harder.
Why was it harder? It seems standard.
I don't know. She must have picked a different.
She picked a different.
Yeah, because I was all excited when she said what she was going to do.
But you didn't know which standard. It was a different standard.
And plus, she is kindergarten, so
she's taught a couple grades.
I have taught a couple.
Yeah, she didn't tell you that. Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah, but it was fine.
You're ESL, so you deal with all the grades.
Yeah, but
right?
I was looking at it from a concrete level and where the kids are at. And
but this actually now
it really helped.
It does.
Yeah, it really helped.
When I do our in-house leveling group, the thing that I teach them first day is literary vocabulary. What is literary vocabulary? So let's talk about that for a minute. Turn to a partner and describe to them how you think you locate literary vocabulary in a text. Or academic vocabulary, either. How do you identify it as a word is Anybody have an idea?
So the definition of things you would say at home, but not, I mean, you wouldn't say at your home is going to be very different based on what your home is like. That's true. So our definitions as we look at this of what would be literary words can be very different than what kids would think of literary words.
That's absolutely right.
Or teachers.
We actually had this very same conversation in the leveling group because there was something, you know, a droid or something like that, and I said, oh, and that's
every kid knows that one.
Absolutely, that's literary vocabulary, and they're no, not in our house, you know, so.
I think our two red cold reads have weird nuances, but that's just me. So I think that.
So, but I'm going to pick on you, Robin.
Yes.
Okay. So this is what happens all the time. This is what teachers do all the time, right? She said his comprehension was really low, but I figured if I did a few more things, he would be in that level. So it's all assumptions. Right? It's not any evidence. It's a gut feeling. I can't even tell you how many times I've had teachers go through the phonics infrastructure, particularly in the upper levels, I mean the vocab infrastructure, and the kids get a whole bunch of words like in purple or something, and the teacher says, well, with a little comprehension, I bet they're probably bronze. I'll put them in bronze. What do you mean? So the question is, at what places do we have evidence? And at what points do we have evidence? And what things do we count as evidence? Well, you know, you can read it really well and comprehend it, or you can't. So, like, how much of our own pity and empathy and hope and despair do we put into the levels? And often that's the reasons why kids aren't leveled properly. The truth is, everything we do revolves around accuracy of levels. If your kids aren't leveled accurately, you're going to be teaching them the wrong things. Right? The reason we want to do this today is the heart of the conversation. And one of the things we're finding in schools is that they're not taking on this conversation. They're doing this, they do conferencing, they do this other stuff, and then they go back to their rooms, and that's it. So we're trying to figure out ways to have this kind of conversation. One of the questions you want to ask is, what is your system for professional conversation around assessment and instruction? How do you do it? You have common planning time. What do they do during it? They sit there and look at each other? They make Xerox copies in the teacher's lounge? Like, what do? What are they planning? What are they talking about?